Start us because Jen will join here, and everybody's seated or almost seated, so let's just start seated. We are going to focus a little bit today on our vinyasa, and I'm gonna just get a little bit nitpicky, let's just say, or tips, or like some of you have definitely heard those things before, but I think it's good to remember to focus on that for this class, and we're gonna kind of focus on shifting some weight into our heels and paying attention to what's happening in our arms in those vinyasas. So let's start here in whatever comfortable seated position. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Someday I'll get here a little before.
And with hands on knees, let's inhale, open the chest, even shift the gaze up if you like, and then exhale, round the spine. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale. Exhale. As you come up into your tall seated posture, bring your right hand down to the ground and reach over to the left. Maybe gaze up towards that top arm and then take it to the other side. Back to the left. And the other left. No, I just said it wrong, right? Back to center, and then hands to heart center. Let's take a deep full inhale together. And exhale to sigh it out. Come over your knees into tabletop. We won't be on our hands and knees too long. Just a little bit of cat-cow action here. Warming up the spine even more, linking your breath with your movement, and maybe beginning to add in any other curves or movements that your spine tells you it needs this morning. And then as you're ready, curl your toes, come to your downward facing dog, and find some movement in your down dog as well. As you're ready, come to stillness, ask your heels to travel down toward the ground. And on your next inhale, come up onto your toes, onto your balls of your feet or your toes. Exhale, release and push the heels down toward the ground. Maybe even flex your toes slightly towards your shins. Another inhale, come up onto the toes. And let's go back and forth like that. Exhaling, really pushing into the heels, maybe lifting the toes off the ground slightly if that happens. And then inhale up onto the tiptoes. Back and forth a few more rounds on your own breath. And the next time you're on your toes, go ahead and wave it out to plank. Feel free to move your arms or your feet so that you're in a good plank position with your shoulders stacked right over the elbows, over the wrists. This time, keeping the belly really engaged on your inhale, come over onto your toes, maybe up to the tiptoes, and then as you exhale, push back into your heels. Inhale, rock forward, way onto the toes. Exhale, push right back into your heels. Not all the way to down dog, you're still in plank. Inhale, forward. Exhale, push into the heels. 2 more rounds. Inhaling forward. Exhale, push into the heels. Inhale, forward. Push into the heels, and then sweep those hips high, down dog. Go ahead and walk those feet towards your hands right away. Tadasana feet. Let's stay in our forward fold for a moment. Maybe finding some sway or a bind somewhere. Let's bend the knees generously and round it up one vertebra at a time. Come up to standing, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, and then take your right foot behind your left, just on your toes over here, and kind of come into that dancer arm position, bringing the back hand down to the back thigh. Come back to center and take that the other way. Yes, beautiful. Come back to center. Take it to the other side. One more time. Back to center and dance it the other direction. Back to center, top of the mat, hands to heart center. Inhale, open the arms, gaze shifts up, palms pressed together. Exhale and fold forward. On your inhale, come halfway up, pull the shoulder blades together, hollow out the belly. We're here for a moment. Soften the knees so they're not hyperextended. Pull the belly up and in even more. Exhale and palm the mat. Step back to the top of your push-up. Find that plank. Push back into your heels and then lower your knees down to the ground. Your toes can stay curled, or if that doesn't work for you, flat feet. Elbows graze your ribs as you come all the way down. Inhale into cobra, turning the feet flat now. Exhale to downward facing dog. Take your feet all the way together in this down dog till your toes are touching, maybe your ankles are touching. Shift the hips back, find a big stretch. This is a big stretch in the outside of my calves. Like a weird stretch to me, but good. Take another deep inhale and exhale. Travel to the top of the mat. Whether you're walking, stepping, or floating, come halfway up once you get there. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees generously, round it up one vertebra at a time. Come up to standing, arms overhead. Take that right foot behind you and open into that bit of a dancer stretch. Back to center. Other side. Back to center. Fold forward. Half lift. Palm the mat back to the top of our push-up. At the top of the push-up, press into the feet, press into the heels. Lower to the knee, and we're taking chaturanga, so even though we're on our knees, we're gonna go halfway. Inhale as you come into your cobra, so our legs are on the ground, and then rotate those arm bones in. So the edges of, or the eyes of your elbows are gonna rotate in, shoulder blades still pulled back, gaze up. Oh. Come to the knees, curl the toes, downward facing dog. This time let's take a wider down dog, so move your feet to the outside edges of your mat or somewhere there depending on how big your mat is. Really push into your shoulders, opening up your chest. Take one more breath here. And this time when we come forward, let's bring our feet to the outside of our hands. Whether you're walking, stepping, or floating, we'll come to the outside and sink the hips into a Malasana squat. Oh, every time I do my first Malasana squat, I feel like I have to like shift back and forth. Right? Maybe hands are at heart center. Take a nice inhale and sigh it out. Release hands to the ground. We're going to straighten out our legs, a slightly wide leg fold. So here our feet are just a little bit apart, and then let your hips come high to the sky as you sink forward. One more breath here. On an inhale, do a little bit of a half lift. Turn your toes out if you need to. Soften the knees and then round it up as you come up to standing. When you get there, reach the arms up overhead, heel toe the feet back together, gaze up overhead. Take that dancer, right foot back. Come to center and take it the other direction. Back to center. Gaze shifts up, reach those fingers to the sky, maybe a tiny back bend. On an exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up. Push your weight into your heels. On your toes still, or come down to your knees, lower part way into that chaturanga. Inhaling into your up dog or cobra, tops of the feet on the ground if possible. Nice, stretching out those feet. Exhale, down dog. Regular down dog, right? Regular feet placement. Take a nice inhale and exhale here. Reach the right leg up to the sky. On an exhale, bend and stack, open up to the side. Knee to nose as you exhale, round it in. Inhale, lengthen it back up to the sky. Knee to same arm on the exhale. Inhale, lengthen it back to the sky. Step to the top of the mat, high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. Reach into the back hamstring. And then push into the back heel, like you're gonna bring that heel down towards the ground even though you're still on your toes. Let's play around with coming up on that back toe so it lifts us up a little bit, yes, and then sink down into the heel. So we get the feel for the difference. Inhale as you come up on the toe, exhale, sink into the heel. Same thing on the front, we're gonna inhale and come up onto the toe, exhale, ground the heel. Inhale to the toe and to the heel. Now thunderbolt forward, reach, 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 reach towards me. Release the hands to the ground, back to down dog. Skip that vinyasa. Inhale the left leg up. On an exhale, bend and stack, opening to the side. Knee to nose as you exhale, hug everything in. Inhale, length. Knee to same arm. Inhale it back up. Step to the top of the mat, high lunge. Push your weight into your heel. On an inhale, come up on that back toe. Exhale, sink down towards that heel. Inhale to the toe. Exhale, push to the heel. Stay there. Now the front foot. Inhale onto the toe. Exhale, heel down. One more time, up to the toe, down to the heel, thunderbolt forward, reach, reach, reach. Yes, nice reach as you release back to down dog. Inhale the right leg up. This time as you exhale, knee to opposite arm. Inhale, lift it back up. Bend and stack as you exhale, open to the side. Bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Ooh, how softly can we land that? We're up in our lizard. Maybe we'll keep that back knee off the ground, reach the chest through. And we're headed into our malasana or half sumo, or our sumo, I should say. So you can bring that left foot to the outside of the left hand. If you're coming right up into your squat, just come a bit, higher. You know where you're going. Find our breath. Jen, I just think about you in this squat, like you and then all the people, what country did you say you were in?
Nepal.
Nepal, that are just like hanging out, and then I think of you.
Yes, I had a squat off one time with a 100-year-old lady.
A squat off?
A squat off. She was just like, it was no big deal. Oh, that's funny.
We're coming into that semi-wide forward fold, so come up, hips high, turn the feet so the edges are parallel, and then sink forward, finding any bind you might like. Maybe you like hands on the ground or holding onto the elbows, or I'm going to hold on to both of my ankles as I fold deeper. We are going to play around with coming up onto our toes here. So maybe let's the first round, everybody bring fingertips to the ground and play around with coming up onto our tiptoes. And then releasing heels back down to the ground. One more time, coming up onto tiptoes. We'll play around with balancing that differently next time. Back down to the ground, bend the knees generously, round it up one vertebra at a time. We're bringing the feet together as we bring the arms overhead. Right foot back behind us, dancer it out. Take yourself the other way. Back to center, fold. Half lift. Step back to the top of your push-up. Push back into those heels. Lower all the way or part way. Either in your up dog or cobra, rotate those arm bones in back to your downward facing dog. Let's pick up that left side. Inhale the left leg up. Cross the body as you exhale, knee to arm. Inhale, lengthen it out, and bend and stack open to the side. Bring your foot to the top of the mat. High lunge. No, I knew I messed something up. Come on back down. I was like, I didn't do that last time. Bring that back, that left leg up, three-legged down dog. Bend and stack open to the side. Now we're taking that foot to the outside of the left hand into that lizard lunge. Maybe keeping that right knee off the ground. Chest forward. And then step forward into that Malasana squat or squat part way down. Find your breath. Semi-wide forward fold. Maybe the hands come to the ground, feet turn so outside edges are parallel, and then fold forward. We'll play around with coming up onto our toes again, so your fingers might stay on the ground, or maybe you'll hold on to the back of your heels and slowly come up onto your toes and slowly come back down, and then you'll try it again, right? Slow or not slow, as the case may be with our balance. When you're finished playing, drop the hips, round it up one vertebra at a time, bring those feet together as the arms come overhead. You know where we're headed. We're dancing the right leg back. And then we'll do the other side. And then back to center. Take a bit of a back bend this round. Reaching to the sky, opening the heart. Exhale and fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Palm the mat, top of your push-up. Remember that we're pushing back into the heels, and we're going to rotate the arm bones in as we come up. First, lowering all the way or part way. Inhaling as you come up, rotate in, pull the shoulder blades together, and then downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up. On your exhale, bend and stack open to the side. Stay there or take a flip dog or wild thing if you'd like to throw that in here. Beautiful choices. Oh, look at you girls go. Come back to center. We'll be hugging the knee in towards the nose. Inhale, lengthen it back out. Take the knee to the same arm. Inhale, lengthen it back out. Take the knee to the opposite arm. On your inhale, lengthen back out. Step to the top of the mat, warrior one. So bring that back heel down, arms up overhead. Really ground into the outside edge of that back foot. We'll come up onto our toes, maybe even sinking further forward on the right. Ground the heel. One more time, up to the toes. Ground the heel, open up, warrior two. Peaceful warrior. Windmill your hands down to the inside of your front foot. Coming into your lizard lunge, move that right foot over if needed. Drop the back knee if you would like. Maybe you're coming all the way down to your forearms. You decide. If you've got that back knee dropped, or if you're on your forearms, come upright. We'll surround the front foot, curl the back toes, bring the back knee off the ground, and come up into your high lunge. Coming up onto both toes as well as you can, and then push back into both heels. Both toes, both heels, thunderbolt forward. No vinyasa, right to down dog. Inhale the left leg up. On your exhale, bend and stack. Stay there or come into your flip dog or wild thing on this side. Back to center, reach that leg long, and then knee to nose as you exhale. Inhale, length. Knee to same arm. Inhale, length. Knee to opposite arm. Inhale, length. Step forward after you've inhaled up. Coming into your high lunge, left leg forward. Come up onto the toes both sides, and then push back into the heels. Toes, heels, one more, toes, heels, thunderbolt. Step it back to downward facing dog. Walk your feet all the way together in your down dog, Tadasana feet in down dog. Pull the belly up and in. And then walk your hands back towards your feet, forward fold, Tadasana feet, forward fold. Find a bind if you would like to, or hands on the ground. You might guess that we're going to come up onto our toes eventually here. So find the stability you need, and then gaze at your toes as you see your heels come off the ground. Maybe you're coming onto your tiptoes, or the heels are coming slightly up, and you can play with how much balance you have there, and release your heels down to the ground. Oh, one more, because why not? Coming up onto the toes. And then releasing to the ground, eventually bending your knees and rounding it up as you come up to standing. Hands to heart center as you exhale. Let's find some balance on the on the left side. Right side will come up. I know it's getting warm, isn't it? Tree pose. So let's play with tree pose. Whether you have your foot on the calf or all the way up, and you may change your mind. Oh, I don't want that on there anymore. You might change your mind. Let's stay hands at heart center. I mean, I think you know what I'm going to ask you to do, right? We are going to see what happens if we try to bring the heel off the ground. It may be that we can't lift for very long. Oh, it might be that we have to try that one or more times. That's why I said we might change where we put that foot too. Oh yeah, this will maybe a little easier at the calf for me. Okay, you get to try that on the other side. All right, so I tried both ways. I'm gonna try that again on this side, see what happens, what the differences are with my tree. And then playing around with that coming onto my toes. This must be my better foot. But not fantastic. Yes, I like it. She comes out like a dancer though. She's like, da, 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 and I'm back. It's like the gymnast, right? And no matter what happens, you're like, yes, I made it. All right, so we're at the back of the mat, Tadasana feet. Let's bring hands back to heart center. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Sweep the arms up overhead, forward fold. Take a halfway lift, and then walk your hands out to downward facing dog. We'll pause for a moment with the feet all the way together, get that unique stretch. And then bring them apart into regular downward facing dog feet. Let's inhale the right leg up, exhale, bend and stack. Knee to same arm. Maybe you hold, or maybe you play with your arm balance here. Right? If you've been holding, good job, sweep it back up. Arm balancers, take your time. All of us on an exhale, at some point, knee to nose. Inhale, length. And then we'll step at the top of the mat for warrior one. Everybody getting there in our own time, since we had a moment of play. Pull the belly in, reach through the fingertips, come up onto your toe in the front. Maybe you stay on your toe, see what that feels like as you open into that warrior two. Well, we might have to drop onto the heel, or maybe not, as we come in to peaceful warrior. Now I bet we all want to bring that heel down. Let's come into Exalted Warrior. And towards triangle. So really pop that hip out. If you need to change the length of your stance, then let's do that as we open up into triangle. No hyperextending that front knee, so push into your front big toe. Both hands drop to the inside of your front foot. Let's come into our lizard. Listen up, lizard lunge. Let's listen up in this lizard lunge. Let's keep the back knee off the ground and play around with coming up onto our toes in the front. Now maybe we do drop that back knee, whether we've brought our heel down to the ground or not. Oh yeah. And now we might wish to drop that heel, right? Sink down into your lizard stretch. Ah. We're gonna come out of our lizard stretch into a half hero. So come up onto your hands and then keep going back. Walk those hands back as you straighten out your leg and have a seat. Now I'm gonna turn around so you can see my bent leg. So as I have a seat, I'm gonna sit off to the side, but my heel's still close into my body. Those are the half heroes. Yeah, we're all okay? Okay, so we're kind of accustomed, or maybe we are, to folding forward, but today we're gonna take ourselves backwards. I like to hold on to my foot. I don't know why, maybe. So I reassure myself it's there, and then come down onto one elbow and the other, where you might stay. Maybe you'll let your head drop back, or maybe you'll continue to come down by walking your elbows out or down towards your feet and come all the way down onto your back. Now I'm gonna come up so I can see y'all. Right, we're all in a different place with this. Take another deep inhale and another exhale. And begin to make your way back up. Shift your weight over onto your straight leg, so you can bring that bent knee around and wiggle it out. And then set yourself up for Navasana. I know, Ruth, this is like what I wanted to do too. I'm like, okay, so let's do it. Let's bicycle out that Navasana, whether your hands are on the ground or in the air. It's like my knee said, let's move that a little bit. I don't know about y'all, but that's a huge stretch for my foot as well. Everybody's still going strong. Let's keep going.
I think you've got a toe fetish today.
I do. I do. If only this would fix my gacked up toe, then I'd really be in good shape. Is anybody getting tired yet?
All kinds of inspiration for my balance class.
Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
All right, we're coming over our legs. We'll vinyasa or skip your vinyasa to down dog. But remember, you should be pushing into your heels. You should be rotating those arm bones in when you come into your up dog. All right, don't let me skip anything on this side. We'll bring the left leg up, bend and stack just for a moment. Knee to same arm, either holding it or taking your arm balance. Our holders, we're still gonna hold. We're still gonna hold. And then reach it up to the sky. Arm balances are coming out when they're ready. Knee to nose. Uh-oh. Reach it back up to the sky and step to the top of the mat for warrior one. Warrior one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that breezing. Goodness, I can't be having that break this thing, so let me do that. Good job. Okay, so first of all, press into the outside edge of that back foot. We need that stability to come up onto our toes in the front. And then we'll keep that open up on the toes if we move into warrior two. And then peaceful warrior. Ground the heels, straighten the leg, exalted warrior to triangle. Soften that front knee, pull the shoulder blades together, pull the belly in. Hands down to the inside of our front foot, that lizard lunge with the back knee off the ground as we work on coming up onto those toes in the front. And now we'll play with putting the back knee on the ground but staying on our toes. Ay, ay, ay. Release the heel. Perhaps we'll come down onto the forearms or wherever is best for you to sink into that stretch. Come back up onto your hands, and now we'll keep walking back so we can come into that half hero stretch. Just gonna bring myself forward a little bit. So my sit bone over here on the right doesn't totally come to the ground, but that's the direction it's heading. Heel, and maybe if your toes can curve in towards your bum, that's even better. Jen likes this so much, she's like, I'm back. The rest of us will begin to slowly come backwards, right? Super gracefully, right?
I would have to get by her.
Maybe just to the elbows or maybe all the way down. You decide. Each side can be different. And then begin to make your way back up, eventually coming all the way up to shift your weight into the straight leg and unwind the other leg. Okay, don't worry, we're not going to do the exact same boat pose. Instead, we're going to take our elbows down to the ground behind us and then bend those knees. That's where I want to start from as I come into my bicycle kind of action here. Now really think about, our low backs can't totally come to the ground because we're kind of balanced on that sacrum, but you're pressing that direction. That'll activate those lower abs, really pulling them in strongly. And then enjoy the beauty of the day. No leaf blower this morning. I'm very pleased with that. In case you're wondering how many of these we're doing, I'm also wondering how many of these we're doing. Are you guys glad you came today? Okay, let's bring it all the way down, come up and fold over our legs. Ah. Ah. Eventually, we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. You can take your vinyasa, skip your vinyasa. Let's think about all that we're working on in these vinyasas this morning, if you choose to take that. In your down dog, let's bring the feet all the way together. Sink those hips high, the chest low, get that nice deep stretch. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. Stay in your forward fold, and let's play around with coming up onto your toes here as you find some balance. So maybe that means fingertips of one hand or both hands. Maybe you'll hold on to your heels and come up or somewhere else and just play around with where your gaze needs to be, and I'll be quiet so you can focus. Eventually, we'll ground the heels when we're ready, bend the knees, and round it up. Let's reach the arms up overhead, and then hands to heart center. Okay, so let's play around with another balance here. You know we'll take it to the toes, because why not today, right? So here's what I'm going to offer up as a suggestion, but you can take it somewhere else if you'd like. We'll either hold the right knee with both hands,
with one hand or hand to big toe even. And then we'll play around with what do we need to do to come up on the other side. I mean, I can't hold that very long, but it's just a playtime, right? The closer we have everything in, possibly the easier it is to come up. So you might play around with any one of those, and by golly, you know you're doing the other side. So I'm gonna remain calm and quiet and let you practice it and play with it. Just come to Tadasana, but take a moment to play around as long as you would like. That looks so beautiful, you guys, and I managed to keep myself quiet, which I'm really proud of too. Almost as proud of the balance that I could do. That looks really neat. Oh, you guys are all working so well together doing your balance. So, all right, let's take a nice inhale and exhale. Reach the arms up overhead. Fold forward.
Find a half lift. Slowly walk your hands out. And really I'm saying slowly so that you're getting a pretty good calf stretch in each position here as you come forward into that down dog. All those times we've been on our toes, we're countering it with these down dog calf stretches. And now bring your feet into your regular down dog stance, a little bit wider than we have been. Reach the right foot to the sky, bend and stack. Bring the foot over towards the opposite arm and take your arm balance or hold it there for 3. Arm balancers, you just take your time. 2, 1. We'll all come back up in our own time and bring the knee towards the nose in our own time. Sweep it back up, step to the top of the mat, high lunge. With the heel grounded or with the heel in the air, find a bit of a back bend motion. Maybe that only means cactusing the arms. Maybe that only means shifting the gaze. And then return to your neutral, I think we'll call it, neutral high lunge. Thunderbolt forward. Listen, fingertips to the ground. Come up onto your toes. Release, push back to the heels. Bring the fingertips forward as you come into your grounded airplane. I think you know what's about to happen. Come up onto your toes. Release down to your heel. Walk that hand up the thigh. Hands then come to heart center, warrior 3. I don't know if I can do it. Come up onto my toes, but I'm gonna try, and I think I'm gonna have to bend my knee in order to make that happen. And then when I'm finished, I'm gonna come to Tadasana. I'll be at the top of my mat. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, y'all, that was a hip something. So I'm gonna dance that out. Right foot coming behind and opening up. Stay there for a moment. Find a bit of a back bendy twist and open up. Push into that heel perhaps, instead of on the toes as you come, stretch those toes out. Let's come back to center, and even though we didn't do the other side, we're going to take that dancer on this side before we find that. Back to center, arms up overhead, fold forward as you exhale. Inhale, half lift. Palm the mat, take the vinyasa of your choice, and meet in downward facing dog. left side comes up on the inhale. Exhale, bend and stack, open up to the side. Cross the body, hold for 3, or take the arm balance. 2, 1. We'll come back up to center and then hug in knee to nose. Back to center, step to the top for your high lunge. Taking it into a back bend. If you no longer wish to come up on the toes for this one, you don't have to, but otherwise we're going to challenge ourselves coming up on the toes and finding some back bend. Neutralize as you come back to center. Ground the heel to thunderbolt forward. Hands to the ground, fingertips to the ground. Lengthen the spine, come up onto your toes. Sink back to your heel. Up to the toes, sink back to the heel. Shift the hands forward, grounded airplane. Up on the toes, and back to the heel. Walk those hands up the thigh. Hands at heart center for your warrior 3. And we'll play around if can we find that balance of coming up onto toes. Ay, ay, ay. We'll end up in Tadasana, top of the mat. Sweep the arms up overhead. Left foot first to dance through that so we can open up and find that stretch into the left calf. Through center, and then let's take that on the other side because why not? Center, and then hands to heart center. Keep following with your hips. We're coming all the way down to sit on our heels. Right? So we're going to take this 2 ways, and one way is that we'll be onto our toes. We're really trying to bring the heels up as high as we can and find our balance, and we're squeezing everything together, including the belly. And then the other way is that we're going to push our heels down toward the ground as if someday that's going to come all the way down to the ground. That means we're flexing our toes and our ankles up towards our shins. And then the last thing we're going to do here is turn the toes out a bit, the heels in as we come into this Malasana squat variation. And perhaps you come up and find your balance here, right? And perhaps you get super straight and maybe not. And then you can play if you want to move the arms around or not. I don't know about y'all, but my feet are on fire. So I'm gonna come back down and then release down to the ground. To have a seat on my shins. We're gonna stretch out our feet a little bit. For some of us, this might be a big stretch in our feet. I mean, for some people, for my husband, this is an enormous stretch into his feet. But for some of us, we're gonna need to take ourselves further so that our hands come down to support us, and then we're resting on the tops of the feet. And then you can decide how far back you take that so that you're really stretching the toes more and more. And then come forward as you need to. You can pedal that out. And then when you're ready, you can come back to that again, and let's just throw this in there for some fun. You can bring your hands to your toes and play around with finding some balance as you bring your hips off the ground, and maybe your gaze shifting back. Or maybe you're in one of the same positions we did last time. Way to go, girls. Yes, nailing it. All right, come on out of that and then forward to pound those feet out. And now curl the toes. We're headed into some toe scream stretches the opposite way. We've done a lot of things coming up onto our toes, so we're stretching the opposite way by bringing our feet here and then sitting back on our heels. All right, so this is an enormous stretch for me. If you need to come out before I cue that, that's okay. Come out and perhaps come back. If you need it to be a little bit more intense, you can bring a foot forward so that you're sitting on just one
ready, you're gonna come all the way out of that, right? And it feels generally good to pound those feet out again after such a toe stretch. And I promise we are done with all of that, I want to kind of like mini nonsense of our feet. But I do want to come back to downward dog, which I also consider to be an excellent stretch into the calves. So really allow your heels to sink back toward the ground, pressing that heel into the ground. One more time, bring the right leg up. Now bring that toe onto the back of the left heel and push your hips back. And use your toe to help kind of push that heel down to the ground. Does that make sense? Sweep that right leg back up, bring it forward for pigeon. Stretch those hips out. Those hips had to work hard too to keep you balanced on your toes. So come on forward into your pigeon stretch and release. Begin to come upright, and as a hip mobility and core strengthening challenge, we're going to sit down onto the right hip, perhaps with no hands, or if we do, just for a bit of balance as we bring the left leg over. Don't let it touch down, don't let it touch down. Cross, maybe you still don't let it touch down, and then you take it back. Maybe it hovers back there, or maybe it does touch down. Oh, Jen, good hover. And then back up and around 5 times at your own pace, so I don't have to rush you along. And after you finish your 5th, we are headed back to downward facing dog, so we can repeat this on the other side, taking anything you like in between there to help you stretch things out. From our down dog, let's bring the left leg into the air. And then we're going to put our left toes on the back of the right heel like we did last time. Always have to remind myself then to shift my hips back just forward so I get that nice big stretch in the right side. Maybe if you can, use those left toes to push your heel down a little further, just a little self-assist. And then reach the left leg to the sky, bring it forward for your pigeon stretch on this side. Reclining in and releasing down.
beginning to make your way upright, we'll take those 5 rounds of hip mobility core work. Maybe no hands, maybe no touching down as we bring the leg forward and across at our own pace 5 times. You can remain seated after that and not go back to down dog, or if you need that down dog stretch from here, feel free to do that. We'll meet in seated after we're done. So something I avoid like 100% of the time in my practice, I thought I'd actually throw in today, is we have done some of that mobility towards cow face pose. Well, I'm going to start with my left leg under, but it won't matter. We're going to do both sides. And then bring my right leg on top. So if you might just look at Melissa, she's really stacked. She really has her feet kind of evenly placed. Maybe her sit bones are really down. They look like they are. That's sort of ideal there, right? Here's where I'm at. We're all somewhere. Let's find a super tall spine. That might be where you need to stay. Or maybe you would like to fold over your legs a little or all the way. And then come upright and unwind to find that on the other side. Remember to sort of find that nice tall spine initially, and then if you're going forward, feel free to fold forward. Coming upright, unwinding. You bringing your hands behind you and letting those hips windshield wiper apart, or even coming onto the elbows and doing so. Eventually we're going to make our way all the way down, lying on the ground, take a long body stretch. You might want to take a jacket with you if you're going to put that on. We're headed to Shavasana. So when you're ready, a nice long body stretch. Before we come to Shavasana, let's hug both knees into the chest. And then drop our knees over to the right for a spinal twist. Unwinding as much as we need to find ourselves in a spot where we can really relax. Working on both shoulders, blades headed down toward the ground. When you're ready, come back to center, maybe giving yourself another hug. taking any other stretches you might need before coming into your final resting posture of Shavasana. Remembering that this posture is yours, so if you need to have your arms close together today or something on you, then feel free to do that. Keep yourself comfortable. Wind picked up just a little bit here. Don't blow away, Ruth. Staying in your Shavasana as long as you have time for. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.